So somebody described Phoenix Enigma as my friend, and I wouldn't say that. I did a couple of interviews with the guy, and we have never met. He wanted me to meet him in L.A., interestingly enough. And he would talk about the Hopi Indians, and I seemed to know a little bit about it, but when he started to get into alchemy, he mentioned the Emerald Tablet. And I said, "Great, tell me what you know of it." I kept kind of quiet. So he said that the Emerald Tablet was found in Egypt. Wrong. It's found in Tyana. It's the Anatolian region of Cappadocia. And I said, "Did you know that?" And he said, "No." I said, "Yes, I've been there." Um, you know, Kimur Hisar is the modern name for the city. And in a cave, they found the Emerald Tablet. And it was being clutched by a corpse that was sitting on a golden throne. This was a 7th century discovery. And it's written about by famous alchemic authors like Hermes Trismegistus, Hermes the thrice greatest, who was a Hellenic era alchemist. And supposedly the stone is a manifestation of the ancient Greek god Thoth. And of course it relates to the Greek god Hermes. So he didn't know any of this. So I don't think that his alchemic knowledge is in depth. He didn't understand the connections between this book and Isaac Newton, for instance. He didn't understand a lot. So I think his idea that he is somehow this deep-thinking occultist is wrong. I think it's surfacey. So in the medieval period, the Emerald Tablet, which had gained fame, was transformed from being a mystical corpus to being experimented on. And everybody knew about it. John Dee, Heinrich Cornelius, Agrippa, Gerhard Dorn, Aleister Crowley knew about it later, Albertus Magnus, and Sir Isaac Newton. So Newton was an alchemist. Did you guys know that? So you have to look into Newton's magnum opus, or great work, and you will discover that he fixated on this. And it's funny because he wrote manically. Newton was an interesting guy. He was a celibate. He also put people to death for counterfeiting. And he was just a pretty intense man. And I believe it was 2016 where they found some of his works in Pasadena, of all places, and it went up to bid. I think it was Bonham's or Sotheby's, or yeah, I think it was maybe Sotheby's. And some of the work that he had done was done with a man named Starkey. I believe it was George Starkey, who had studied at Harvard, believe it or not, and then moved to England in 1650, and worked with Robert Boyle, who was one of Newton's contemporaries. So you have to look pretty deeply into the classics and classical alchemy prior to 1750. So you just have to really study deeply, and it doesn't look like Phoenix Enigma has. So you have to go into Isaac Cappy's alchemical manuscripts. You can find them if you look hard enough. So I'm right now studying a German alchemist named Erasmus Rothmalar, um, who is someone that was quoted by Newton. And you need to look into Hunting the Green Lion, which is the book that Newton wrote. And he wrote about lions symbolically consuming suns. And lions were a pretty common alchemical image. And it was metaphorical for the troll. That's what the green lion was. And of course, with the sun, it was about oxidation, purifying matter. And you need to look into the Rosarium Philosorium, which I think was published around 1550, and that you would have to go into the Alchemia Opuscula Complura Vetrium Philosophorum. And so the Green Lion, or the Emerald Tablet, was the Philosopher's Stone. It represented the transmutation of matter, salt, sulfur, and mercury in their crude states, and interpreted spiritually, it represents the natural or crude human and their wild wholeness. And it's green in color because it hides esoteric powers that are undeveloped. So you need to take a look at this, and everything points to Egypt. So that's why when I had talked to Mr. Phoenix Enigma, I knew he didn't know what he was talking about. It's the same thing with, I hate to say it, but Michael Aquino, when I was on the Lepo show, and I asked him some questions, he didn't know his Egyptology, I'll tell you that. So I wanted to ask him about Newton, and about the Emerald Tablet, and about the inspiration that the Emerald Tablet might have given to Newton for his 3 laws of motion and gravity. So there's a lot to be said about that. I spent a lot of time actually at King's College in London on the Strand. Did a fair amount of study. So that's that. We'll get more into this. I think we're going to concentrate soon on Shark Belly Kelly, and I can hopefully provide some insight on that monster.